What more attracted me for the mine sector was the dynamics of the sector. I always I started my career in a collective bus company, and then the company grew up very fast. But it was not a sector that it was dynamic, and I always loved that since I was young, and I always seeing the market. Oh, there was an M&A, or there was an spin-off, and I said, oh, this is very interesting. There are lots of things happening in this segment, and this was the first thing. And then I found out my way to start in 2004, actually. Um, my starting on the mining, and I could never leave because I just jumped from one company to the other, and then as I am almost 18 years, and I'm still on the mine market and mine sector. Yeah, initially, I think it's important to say that this, unfortunately, the mining sector is especially uh, if we go to the offices, it's all the mines. I know if you go to the regional offices, we can see more women around, which is easy. But when you're talking about the mines, the remote areas, it's really predominant men. And why that? Because everyone said it's beautiful to say it's attractive woman, but no one is really it's have change the mindset to really attract, to have the proper infrastructure, to have a proper program. And I think that's have been said that is a predominant man because of it's a tough work, it's a hard work. I mean, on the mine itself, the man that does not see with a good eye to have a woman around. And I think that the way to change that is, I always say this, is I've been discussed this with my all the executives currently on my company. I say we need to change the mind of the people that are there, because of hiring have a most part of the employees or half of the employees as a woman in the offices in the big regions. Uh, it's very easy, but put there in a remote area that the person needs to work like to drive a truck, and be part of the lunch, having lunch with the men all the time, be prepared with the jokings and all those things. It's not a easy task. I think that the most important is really to change the mindset to instead of quotes or everything that the people used to say. For me, the most important is we need to have the executive team say, we need to set up a target. We need to have a percentage of women on the company, and then work closely with the GMs at the sites to change and open the minds and how to that and say uh, put implementing a training program, and be more focused on trainees or woman trainees, having like a special shift dedicated to a woman, for example, driver's truck, and then get that take care for not put a woman working in the night shift with a man in underground mine. Things like that that needs to be, from my point of view, needs to be well taken care of. And I always see very beautiful things, but the pragmatic things to get them and to attract them to them. I think that this is the biggest challenge. This is what I've been seeing. Yeah, actually, the STEAM program is STEAM or STEAM in Brazil. It's very small program still. Unfortunately, in Brazil, we do have like just 200 schools with these programs we implementing. I read very recently that the government has is going to implement for the 2020 to a more broad and national for the public schools, this type of program. But what I expect when having a more uh, coverage in the country or in the countries overall, what I expect is to motivate more women, more girls. Let's say let's work on this way. Let's motivate the girls to be more like to work more as engineers, geologists, which areas that has unfortunately a predominance of a men. And then because the STEM program is great because it has the really the ability to connect several disciplines. And then but I think that my wish should be to see this program become more broader and then automatically motivate more girls be attracted to these areas that is predominant currently choosing by men. And then like again the mine engineers, geologists, architects overall does not need to be just for mining but overall. But I think that this would be the first path because if they say they develop a project within the STEAM program that they feel motivated to, that would be a path for them to go to the university and then developing themselves on these careers that has currently around the world more men than women itself. There are two type of answers. For me, it's my way, my style. It's I always have my mind pretty open on the selection. I say I don't mind if the candidate is pregnant. I think that this is a key thing. I don't mind if it's a woman, if it's married, if he has a children or not. I think that is this makes the difference when I am a woman. I am in a very senior position, or I have my family, I have my kids, and then I do not establish the prejudice on the process. I think that's the first step that everyone on my way of thought needs to do. Recently, I did a process that I had a very good candidate that was pregnant, very close to have a baby. I said, I would like to talk to her. Why not? Why I cannot talk to a candidate that it's close to be a mother? If she is is a good candidate, I can wait for a few months and then she come back. And it was not the candidate I have selected, but I think that's the first thing, just to open the mind. And then in on my way. And when for sure I have men's, I have women. When I have women and men with the same profile, for sure I prefer to select the woman. I think that is it's on my case would be more direct or manager position. And the what I offer is exactly that. I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna push you to be developed, and also I'm gonna coach you on the job, because I think that this is very key thing for having the woman be part of the mining sector, which is predominant, uh, has lots of means. We need to be well taught, well balanced, prepared for that. And this is what I do all the time. When I attract, first was I do exactly what I mentioned to you, and then when I keep and I promise to them to develop and coach them on the job. Coach on the job. I say if you had any behavior or any attitude on the meeting that was not appropriate, that can be, I say, just take care of this type of behavior, because this cannot be okay for you. Speak less, be more directly, because are some things that I have been learning with men's, that men's has a very clicky thought, and why they do not have patience to work with too much woman, because women used to talk more than men, and then they want to be understood very quickly. And then when they ask an answer, you need to answer right away and not go around. And then this is why I think that is important. And then I told you that I would share in two ways. Then this is my way of select and keep and the attract the talent. Secondly, the way I believe that the leaders should do, especially on the minds, is like a kind of a blind selection. The HR, we need to reach this point that the HR people put available the resume of in front of the general managers or the leaders and say you and do not have the name, do not have the gender, and say just select based on what the person needs to offer to you. And then I think this is the first step, because what I've been seeing is that for me, again, for me it's easy because I am a woman. I know I know how the market works. But imagine a GM and a mind in the mind side. If I put in front of him a resume of a woman and a man, he will automatically we're going to get the preference from a man. And then this is why I say I motivate that. Say put a blind resume in front of him and let's go the process, leave the process works from that. Yeah, I think I think I have lots of people that I'm lucky to that likes to work with me, and I think the first thing is that I say prioritize your life, your personal life. For example, if I have some meetings with would be important meetings with my managers, and someone of them say to me, "Oh, sorry, I have an school event of my kid and I need to go." I say, please go, and then we can catch up the meeting later, because of this type of thing the meeting can be postponed, but these type of things they are never come back. And then I think that this is the maturity that the woman the women needs to find it. I always respect that as a woman, again as a mother. uh, I always respect that. Also, the other thing that is I think that have been working quite well on my career is like it's be transparent in all aspects. I have I deal with we can spend like hours here talking about several experiences I have, but I had one especially that I had one very qualified employee that she went to a meeting, and then she was not dressed appropriately for that meeting because it was called the attention of the other men. And then after that I say, oh, she grew up very fast, I need to help her, but I feel embarrassed to say that to her. And then what I did, I engaged a coaching, and then a coaching specific coaching program, and including this comment of this observation I had, and then just to prepare her to be more like executive in this way, because you cannot call attention because of the dress, a beautiful dress or something. This can be part of, but we need to call attention because we are talent, we are intelligent, and we can deal with that challenging with the demands of the meeting and everything else. I think that this is the key thing. The clothes itself is just a part and needs to be very appropriated. I always say that for the women that you work with me. I think that this is very very key. To be very honest, I 100% sure on that, because again, this year has been a transitional year because I've been discussing this quite a lot. For me, it's the mindset. Uh, if you do not, we cannot have. I think that this is a paradigm that needs to be changed. It does not mean that if one board or the CEO wants that you have a diverse or establish like 25% or 40% of um, my employees will be like in 3 years 1 month, and then and but will be his thoughts. But if you do not work closely to the ones, the leadership that are at the sites, at the mine sites, to open, to change the mine sites, we are not going to be anywhere. I think that this is the I have learned, I have worked with companies that started to do that, and the senior leadership at the mines that really bought the idea made the whole difference, because really engaged. He opened his mind, he engaged, and then put specific programs for women, like a specific shift for drivers truck that were dedicated just to women. It were very successful. After 1 year, had a strong reduction on maintenance. But the others, like we had other mines that the GMs did not buy the idea. And then for me, then the program was not well fully implemented. For me, I think that before going having, I think it's important to set up a target and to create a program, but it's working closely, very, very closely with the mindset changing. This takes time. I cannot say I'm starting to do the program now, and next week I'm going to have all my general managers with the mindset differently on that, because they need to be convinced, because they went to school. I think this is important thing. They went to school, engineering school, that had most part of the students were men, and then they were created on that atmosphere. Then they started to work in a company, most part of the employees were men. How they are all of a sudden they are going to accept, without putting skills on the middle of the way, that they can create space or alternative for a woman. I think that this is the key thing. Besides gifts, the guidance gift that being driven from the senior executive level. I think for me it's like a coaching for the open the mind of the senior leadership position at each mine site. I think that this is the biggest challenge, and if you do not be properly, we will continue the way that we are now. Because the way that we are now, when I talk to the GMs that works with me and all in the other companies, and when I go in workshops or seminar, I always ask, and I always the answer are the same. It's always excuse. No, Angela, you are a woman. It's difficult to have a woman working a shift. It's a very aggressive environment. Hey, say, let's stop the excuse. Why you are not opening your mind? But this is again, change the mindset of the senior leadership. The mind. This is for me is the key, and needs to be done in a proper way, systematically. Because otherwise, we will continue to have excuse on the market on the mining sector, and in 10 years we will be the same, very very shiny. Growing in terms of having more women in the as employee. South Africa was interesting. It was the third like a region in the world that has the conversion to adapt and to have the obligation to have. The first one for sure was European, second the US, and third South Africa. And they have in the South Africa. I read for my benefit. Most part of the company has at least one senior leadership position as a woman. I'm not fan, to be honest with you, to establish quotes. I don't like this, because as a woman, I I I everything I got, I started my career with a very early stage, and I grew up most, especially on the mining sector, being a woman. And then what was different? I think that is um, I had to qualify myself. I did not have any chance different in the it was always because I was working to qualify myself to be in the positions I got and the position I am currently. And for me, like for example in Brazil, we have like a quotes for disadvantaged people, for the companies, and they are obliged. And I don't feel with a good eyes, because imagine that they establish a code like some countries from Europe, for example, that establish like a 40% of the, I think if I'm not wrong, Norway, that start like 40% of the board needs to be a woman. I think that needs to be in a different way, on my thinking, not obligation, but it has the companies that reach certain percentage of a woman on the on both on the leadership, or even on the overall head count, will get some special incentive. I think the other way around. I don't like the obligation, because the obligation, it seems that we as a woman, we need we are in, like the same, sorry for the comparison, but we are in this we have the not all the advantages that the others has. And I think that having more programs, create more atmosphere, motivate that, and then establish the other way, an incentive, like a tax incentive, for example. I think is a great idea from the government to the companies. If the companies reach like 40% of the full headcount as a woman, the company will start to get a reduction of X amount of reduction on income tax or something like that. For me, this seems more fair with us. I really don't like this. This is a subject that I agree with you. I always have like different type of opinions, but as a woman itself, imagine like if I am now sitting in my positions. I am a vice president of finance and administration. I sit besides my peer, that he was there because he was qualified to be there, and then automatically I am there because I was put there because of a coach. I don't think that the emotional would be okay. And I really believes in the other way around, to get like to have a broad program, really broad program, getting a better mindset, and then get an incentive for the ones that reached certain percentage, and that I think on this way you get better results. There are some things that were critical. First was that I realized it very quickly that the mining sector had lots of opportunities to grow. I think that was with the M&As, the spin-offs, and all these dynamics that the market brings, also demands a qualification. And then the first thing I thought, I say, I need to qualify myself. I need to study hard, especially the language, even on the language, on the school, on the certifications and everything. Because this, I always believe that was the way that my parents created us, is say, you need to study, you need to be prepared. If the opportunity will be there, you are prepared, and then you are not selected, then you need to think twice if you are in the best place. And then I always heard this on at home, and then I did exactly that. I love to study, and then I always was ready when the opportunities appeared. I think the first thing. Secondly, and I think it's very important thing, be honest. Be honest with you. Be transparent with you and with the others. If it means that it's not like something that everyone says. It's like if you are participating in a meeting and you don't like some things, you need to say. I always say that, especially when participating with a men's, I always most part of my career, I was almost the only woman part of the meetings that has pretty much a mess. And then you had some situations that they were like furious. They start to shout between them, and I always keep myself balanced. And then when the atmosphere was down, I say, let's think in a different way. Let's slow down, and then what you say is not correct, and this is not correct. Or if you not cannot say in that situation, say later, but always be transparent, but with very, very well emotion balance. Because if you start in a meeting, and then you have everyone very very agitated, I can say like that, and then you start to behave the same, you are not going to make the difference. And I always, what I say, let's start, look at the opportunity for you put your opinion, but in the right moment, the right time. And the behavior, I think that is this is the key thing. I always say to my employees, a sentence that I really believe: the technical side and everything you study brings you to elevates you to a certain level of position. Then, but from that position on, for you grow up more, it's required more than the technical side. It's required other abilities like maturity, be emotional balancing, and how to just express yourself in a proper manner and in a proper way, especially again on this environment that's pretty much dedicated. I can say that it's a main word. I can say like that, and I think this was key for me because I invested quite a lot on coaching, on personal coach to me, in the to prepare and say, oh, that situation make me very upset. They say, no, it's not with you. It's not your problem. It's the problem of the others. And then things like that I think were very, very key. And I could not, and even currently, I am in a position that I am the only woman in my country. I am the only woman in a senior position. I always say like that. I always try to conciliate and to slow down the means and be like mature and the balance the environment because I am. And then this is what I bring. And these I think that these are key things that it's important for the my growth, especially and maintain on my career. Yeah, I think it's interesting thing. Early in my career, I always say that I always put a target to me. Like before I reach 40s, I would like to be a director. And I always worked very hard. And on the beginning of my career, I could not say no in several situations that I would like to I have a personal appointment, and then I used just my boss asked me to do something and that I could postpone, and then I would prefer on my with me I would prefer to go to my personal appointment, but I could not say at that point very early no. And I think if I could come back, I would come back in a different approach and say to create this balance between the personal life and the professional life. And I think I learned this after, especially after I got married and I had my kids. I understood very clear. I was in a later stage in my career that I had grew up at a lot at that point, and I established to say no sometimes, no, I can't. Let's postpone. I have this appointment, and I think that this is important. For example, I had one situation, I think in 2017, that I had a very important meeting with the CEO and my boss in Canada, and then I have my special Christmas, the first Christmas presentation from my young kid, and I called my boss and said, I can't participate on this meeting. He don't know you are very important because you know. I say sorry, I can't. It's the Christmas presentation of my kid is the first one. He's like 3 years old. I'm not going to lose it. Sorry, we can do the meeting later. I don't mind to do like 8 p.m. my time, but on exactly on this time, I can't. And I think the maturity to say no, it was the one that I did not have on the beginning of my career.